These are my version of the classic toaster strudel. You can see that there's sticky jam surrounded by buttery puff pastry topped with icing. Really decadent, but also really, really easy. Let's get going. So to start making my take on a toaster strudel, I'm going to sprinkle some flour out onto a board and then roll out some puff pastry. I'm just going to make the edges nice and straight so that they puff up properly in the oven. So we're going to slice this into rectangles. I'm just going to divide my pastry into 3 and then slice down. So I've got 18 little rectangles, I only need 16, so I'm going to get rid of these 2 slightly misshapen ones. So I'm going to be putting a little amount of jam into the middle of each of these. So you just need about just under a teaspoon in the middle of each one. You don't want to overfill them or the jam bursts out when they're cooking. And make sure you leave enough of a rim around the edge so you can egg wash it. And then the next step is to stick the lids over the top of the jam. I'm going to be using some egg wash to stick it down. This is a beaten egg mixed with a little bit of water to loosen it slightly to make it a little bit easier to spread. So you just need to brush it around the edges. This is what fuses the pastries together and stops them from bursting open in the oven. Take your top piece of pastry that matches up and just lay it over the top of the jam. Then you just want to take a fork and crimp around the edges. So that is the first one ready. I'm just going to repeat this process with all the rest of my toaster strudels. So I'm just crimping the last one here. And then these are going to go onto a baking tray. And once they're all on there, we're going to give them a final egg wash so they have a lovely golden colour once they're baking. Make sure you get it right into the creases of the crimping as well. And then these are just going to go into the oven until they're lovely and risen and golden. So my strudels are risen and ready. They're a lovely golden brown. You can see they're puffed up and crisp to the touch. So those are ready to be iced. So I've got some icing sugar in a bowl, a tablespoon of melted butter. And I'm also going to add half a teaspoon of almond extract, which works beautifully with the raspberries you've got inside there. So once your butter is slightly worked in, we've got a little bit of water. And you just want to add that very gradually. You don't add too much or your icing will be too runny. So just add a little bit at a time. So here we go. We've got a lovely thick icing that's just thin enough for us to be able to pipe. And that's then finished. You've got that amazing puff pastry with the sticky jam in the middle and the icing on the top. They're so simple to make, really delicious. Perfect when they're warm. You should definitely give them a go.